BLUELOCK episode 11 has finally aired, and wow, we got so much to talk about. I think this is the biggest episode for the season. You guys know the drill by now. Did the animation improve? Is this episode any good? What are the best and worst moments? And what is the community's reaction to this newest episode? We got a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. Episode 11 picks up instantly where we left off, Ryo copying Aiku's defensive ability and picking up with the U-20's attack. But of course, the main focus for this episode was on Shido Ryuse. We immediately start diving into his character as well as his philosophy for this match. Because at this point, we don't know too much about Shido, but we dive into more of his thought process and his weapons or abilities, him dialoguing about his philosophy on football, and you know, the whole passing down genetic cells thing. They implemented a new OST for Shido, and I believe it fit him really well. I think the visuals also got an upgrade as Shido dialogues over this. Like, they'll be highlighting his character, doing the stadium lights, giving him glowing eyes, and of course it all culminates into what everyone has been talking about, which is Shido Ryuse's Big Bang Drive. This is what everyone is talking about, the main focus of this episode. This goal was absolutely crazy, not only plot-wise, but adaptation, animation, OST. I think they seriously nailed this goal. The slowdown moments, Shido's demon wing aura even popping up, the kick even had impact frames for this goal. This whole sequence was just amazing, but a very underrated thing I want to highlight for this goal was the voice acting. Shido's VA went absolutely crazy delivering the hype, and I think the madness that Shido's character portrays. Because I mean, his philosophy is about, you know, the whole genetic thing, passing it down. We got a lesson on biology, and Shido's VA sold it well. And even the visuals for that was nice, like they implemented it during the Shido goal. Again, that goal was just wow. Like, I actually have no words. I'm so happy that they did this good. I think this is one of the best goals we've seen, if not the best goal we've seen. And a lot of people seem to agree that this was an amazing goal, maybe even the best goal we've seen in the whole series, because the animation was just so nice. It felt very fluid with his kick, the aura popping up, cut between scenes, and reaction of everyone else, as well as just the visual aura on the ball and Shido's flow state face or just goal celebration. This was just very good from start to end. We gotta give credit when credit is due. They gave Shido the time and effort here, and it really does pay off. I think this goal surprised everyone. We'll talk more about the goal when we get into the community reaction, but the goal isn't the only thing in this episode. In fact, we still got more than half of this episode left. But of course, the goal was what everyone was talking about. Right after the goal, we get another big moment. To be honest, this episode had a lot of big moments, which just tells you how important this last half is. Isagi confronting Ego and asking him how do they win is the next important moment. I think this was very good too. Obviously, you have Ego telling Isagi that BLUELOCK overall still wins, even if they lose. I like how they did this, or how they approached it, showing different players, and then how BLUELOCK, even if it fades away, will still be here because of them. And then you got Isagi taking none of that, with the art getting darker and him shaded out, and then the original season 1 OST playing for him. I used to pray for times like this. Per usual with BLUELOCK season 2, the art was very good and voice acting even better. Isagi's VA really conveyed all the emotions here. I think the only problem was Isagi's aura was a little too bright. I was kind of getting flashbanged here, but this moment leads to Ego subbing in the Joker himself. Barou Shoei finally enters the pitch. I know a lot of people were waiting for this moment. His introduction and aura was just there. He somehow turned Isagi into a composer, but since we only have half the episode left, we didn't get to see too much Barou highlight in this episode. We did see a little bit of his chop dribble and a little bit of his lion aura. The last two things before we jump into the overall episode and what you guys have been waiting for, the community reaction, Yukimiya's flow state and Aiku's flow state. We have to cover these two important moments. Yukimiya's flow state was mostly stills and CGI dribbling, but I will say the art for his stills were very, very good, especially the flow state eyes. The art and just the moment with his shot is very good, and not gonna lie, Yukimiya sounds like he got a little too excited, talking about the sensation of flow and then the screen got whited out. Maybe this is the Shido effect. And then Aiku coming in with his flow state last second. Yet again, the art was very beautiful for this moment. This is where everyone's flow state eyes start coming in, and I think they adapted it very well. OSTs for both these moments were amazing. Overall, the OSTs for this episode was amazing. The background music really makes the anime so much better. But speaking on the overall episode, I think they've done it. This is probably the best episode we've gotten in season 2. Overall, there was so many good moments like we just covered. Shido's goal does hard carry here, but when you compare it to the other episodes, there is 100% 100% a difference here. I think just the small quality of life animation improvements just adds so much to the overall enjoyment. Like the throw-ins got animation, the ball actually moved into the goal instead of a cut, some of the players were actually moving, and now the goals are starting to get effort too. Compare this Shido goal to Shido's third selection goals. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but we still gotta give props. Of course, there are still some problems that have been consistent throughout the anime season. The PNGs are still here, and some characters looked odd at times. Like Shido turned into Shadow again, and Sendo turned into Mando. Obviously, the best moment of this episode was Shido's goal, and since we talk about the best moment, we have to mention the worst moment, and I think it was exactly that. The PNGs did happen during Barou's sequence because you got so many players trying to defend him, so it is unfortunate, but it wasn't too prevalent in this episode, which is a very important thing for BLUELOCK. I think this episode flowed very nicely, unlike the other episodes where it was just constant PNGs in your face, so it made for a very enjoyable watch. You can 100% tell the difference. And since the majority of this episode was really good, it asks the big question, are we back? Is the animation actually improving? Before that, we have to cover what everyone else thinks, the community reaction. What do people think of episode 11? From what I've seen, the community reaction was explosive here. It was overall so much positive feedback, and so many people were talking about Shido's goal. A lot of praise for the animation, saying that this is the best goal we've seen in both seasons, and how the build up to it with all of his questionable explanations was done excellently. There was a lot of relief going around as well, because in the manga, it's one of the best goals and still holds up to current day, so doing it justice really gave it a lot of positive feedback. And I think a lot of people seem to agree that this is the best episode we have gotten so far, even one-upping the last episode, which was previously the best. Again, when you compare it to the other episodes, it's not too high of a bar, but I guess Shido is saving season 2. The copium paid off for the people. But there's still the other side of the community who still thinks this goal and episode wasn't good at all. In fact, I actually saw a lot more negative feedback than I thought. People on Twitter, in my comments, there was still a lot of overall dismay for this episode, saying that this is still not good animation or the manga moment was better. And I just gotta say, I don't really understand it. Obviously, everyone can have their opinions and stuff. No matter what community reaction, good or bad, I'm gonna cover it. There are still gonna be odd frames, PNGs, and CGI. I think we've all accepted it at this point. But again, comparing this episode where it wasn't as prevalent to episodes where it was just back to back to back, there was definitely improvement here. The criticism for the previous PNG animation where it was constantly in your face, yeah, that's understandable, but honestly, I think this adaptation was very good, so the criticism isn't too warranted for this goal specifically. You have to give credit when credit is due, and this is definitely a step up from the previous episodes, and as BLUELOCK fans, we gotta acknowledge those step ups, so I'm not sure if the criticism is justified here. But that's just me personally. Whether you enjoyed it or not depends completely on you again. Alright, the last and most important thing I want to cover is what this episode means for the rest of the season. We have 3 more episodes to go, and since we just got the best overall episode with really good moments, animations, OSTs, are we officially back? Now for my answer, I think it's both yes and no. To be honest, it does seem like they're more focusing on goals. It's evident with both Nagi and Shido. Overall though, I think there's a slim chance it'll magically improve like people wish it will, but I think there's still high hopes to see our favorite moments adapted as well. Because it was proven in this episode, Shido had an amazing goal, and it wasn't just him. Barou and Yukimiya's important moments got some highlight too. So maybe for the future episodes, we could hope that the important moments will get some highlight as well, especially since we're wrapping up this season. Anyways, if you made it to the end though, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one.